All right, so today I want to talk about body fat, what exactly it is, how to deal with it, how to process it. So when you look down at your stomach or on your thighs or wherever you look and you see fat, and we all have some, right? Part of life, that is stored energy. And when I say energy, what I mean is basically calories. For context, to make it simple, just refer to it as calories. So when you look down at your stomach and you got fat there you don't want, what is that? Is excess calories. So when you consume more calories than your body needs, you store that for later. So it's like when you think of a bear hibernating, right? It eats a ton of food before it goes into hibernation. That way it has food to live off of while it's hibernating. So same thing with the body. It's pretty efficient at it. It likes to store that because food insecurity, you never know when you're going to need more calories to consume and you're going to go a long time without food. You know, the human body was meant to go a day, 2 days, 3 days, sometimes more without food. So it became very adept at consuming a lot at one time and then storing the rest for later. So it had reserves. So if you want to lose weight, the only way to do that is to give your body a signal to use that excess energy that's stored on your body. If you don't provide that signal or don't provide that environment, your body has no reason to dig into those stores that it has for energy. So when you're dieting and you're in a deficit, that's why it works, because you're consuming less than your body needs, and your body says, oh, okay, I don't have enough to survive or to do what I need to do. Let me pull it from my storage capacity, right? So then it starts pulling it from your body to use for energy. So at a basic level, that's why you have to be in a caloric deficit in order to lose body fat, right? You're sending that signal, you're creating that environment where your body is, quote unquote, starving. So it seeks out those calories. And you can do that a couple ways. You can do that by not consuming as much food, right? Not consuming as many calories as your body needs. That's what most people would consider a diet, right? In that sense. You can do that by increasing your activity, although there's some limitations to that. That old adage, you can't outwork a bad diet. That's kind of why they say that, because you can only burn so many calories. And unless you're some high-level cyclist or a marathon runner or something like that, it's going to be really hard to work out enough to stave off all those excess calories. As an anecdote, me, right, here I am biking to work. I bike to work a lot and I exercise a lot, and I'm about 185 pounds, and I work out like 2 hours a day, sometimes more. And my metabolic rate is still only 2,600 calories. And if you've done any sort of calorie math on your own, you know that's, depending on how healthy you're eating, you can hit that number pretty quickly. So that is why diet is so important. And way of eating maybe is a better way to view it. The word diet has so many bad connotations, but you have to consume less than your body burns if you want to lose body fat, because you have to access that stored depository of energy or of calories that you need to make your body do that. So the other thing that you can somewhat control are your insulin levels. And this is a little more advanced for certain people, but the lower level of insulin that you have, or blood glucose or blood sugar, or however you want to phrase it, they all kind of operate the same way, the more likely you are to use body fat as your primary fuel source. So if you keep your insulin levels low, your body will seek excess body fat as an energy source at a higher rate. If your insulin levels are high, it's going to utilize what's in your bloodstream faster, or what's in your liver more, for energy. So when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, your insulin levels are higher, so your body is accessing what's in the bloodstream and what's in the liver for energy instead of what is stored. So depending on your goal, that may not be the best way to go about it, which is why on so many diets, when you're trying to lose fat, your carbohydrate levels get much lower. It's not because carbs are bad, but it's because you want to create that signal in that environment in your body to utilize the fat storage. I hope that makes sense. I could break down the science further, but I just want to give you a quick overview of how to manage your body fat and why these things matter. And if you really want to lose weight, you're going to have to do two things: restrict your carbohydrates and try to eat stuff that doesn't raise your insulin levels. And that's going to be a much more efficient way to lose fat, which is why people on keto who are consuming on average more calories than a traditional diet still manage to lose body fat, it's because their insulin levels are low because there are no spikes in their blood sugar because there's no carbohydrates or almost no carbohydrates. So that's why that's effective. So if you're looking at yourself and you know you need to lose weight, then you kind of have three options or three tools in your tool belt to do that. One is consume less calories than your body burns. And even as a coach in the space, all the calorie math that we do is all a guess, right? We estimate based on the knowledge that we have. There is no perfect method to know exactly how many calories you're burning. So you kind of have to play around with that a little bit. The second option is to lower your carbohydrates, both to consume less calories and to reduce your insulin levels. And the third is to keep your insulin levels very, very low. So your body signals to burn fat as a primary fuel source instead of glucose or sugar or carbs, however you want to say it. And there's a thing called the glycemic index, which I'm a big fan of. It's not perfect, but it's the best metric we can use unless you want to have a continuous glucose monitor, which is a little more invasive, but is much more effective because you can see how your body responds to insulin specifically. But if you can keep stuff that does not spike your insulin as a primary part of your diet, you will burn more body fat. All right, I hope that was helpful. Thanks for listening.